Hello students, it's time for more math homework. And this is an extra homework that's going to help you with 8th grade math, unit 4, lesson 3. It is simplifying and solving equations. Let's get some extra practice with simplifying and solving equations. Your homework are these equations here. I put these into a Google form for your homework. So let me help you solve these equations here for practice, then you'll be prepared for your homework. Make sure you have paper and pencil ready so that you can practice solving these equations. Now, what does that mean when I say solve these equations? Notice that each equation has some variable in it, some unknown number. In this equation, the variable is p. And in this equation, the variable is the letter g. These are called variables. It's an unknown. And when we say solve the equation, that means we're figuring out what this variable must be to make this equation true. So whatever the letter is in the equation, that's what we're going to solve for. Let me teach you how to do that. This is called simplifying and solving equations. Okay, when you have an algebraic expression with some unknown, like v, step 1 is, if you need to, apply the distributive property to eliminate parentheses. So we need to get rid of these parentheses. In most cases, we need to get rid of the parentheses first. So I just call that step 1. Sometimes there's reasons why that wouldn't be step 1, but usually it is. Okay, so we're going to apply the distributive property. Do you remember the distributive property? It means we're going to distribute 2 times 2 and 2 times 1. So we have to have this multiplication distribute throughout the parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and just write down the left side of the equation first. 3 plus v is unchanged. And then we distribute 2 because the 2 next to the parentheses automatically means multiplication. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4, so that's 4v. And 2 times the negative 1 is minus 2. Okay, as simple as that. Now we have gotten rid of the parentheses, and we are ready for step 2. Step 2 is combine like terms. Let me teach you how to combine like terms. First of all, what are terms? Let me circle the terms in red. 3 is a term, v is a term, 4v is a term, negative 2 is a term. They are separated by the plus and minus signs. So this equation has 4 terms. Term, term, term. Anyway, let's combine the like terms. Like terms might have the same variable in them. So the terms with v's have the same variable. How can we combine them? We need to get them all onto one side of the equation. So how about I subtract v from this side, and then what I do to this side, I must do to the other side. I'm subtracting v from each side, and I get 3, that stays the same, equals, and then 4v minus v is 3v, and negative 2 stays the same. So now I have combined the v terms. Now I need to combine these whole numbers, negative 2 and 3. Okay, let's add 2 to both sides of the equation. Because when I add 2 to negative 2, the answer will be 0. But I have to do the same thing to the other side. Let me write this now. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And that equals, the 3v here stays the same. It's unchanged in this step. And negative 2 plus 2, well, a negative 2 plus a 2, that equals 0. So this term cancels out. And that's why I added 2, because I wanted it to cancel out. So now I'm left with 5 equals 3v. Okay, so I have combined the like terms. And then step 3 is to isolate the variable. And that means get the variable all alone. So here I have 5 equals 3v. Now let's isolate the variable. Remember, that means get the variable all alone. I'm just going to rewrite what I have. How can I get this variable v all by itself? The 3 is the problem. 3v is the problem. I want to get rid of that 3. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to divide this side by 3, but what I do to this side, I have to do to the other side. So I'll divide this side by 3 too, as well, to keep my equation balanced. So when I divide 3 by 3, well, remember, anything divided by itself equals 1. 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So this is going to equal, and you know what? Let me just write it out. 3 over 3 times v. And that equals 1v. But we don't need to use the 1 in front of a variable. We can just say v. So 3v divided by 3 equals v. Make sure you can do these steps in your head. But on the left side, I have 5 divided by 3. So I'll just write that down as a fraction, 5/3. Well, 5/3 we can also write as a mixed number. Because this is greater than 1, I can do that in my head. That's 1 2/3. There we go. So now, this is what I did. Isolate the variable. That means get the variable all alone. Now I have v all alone on one side. So I can just read it. v equals 1 2/3. And I know I have it backwards. Let me flip it around. v equals 1 2/3. I have solved the equation for v. Please remember the steps that I've taught you. You're going to be doing them on our homework. Step 1, apply the distributive property to eliminate parentheses. Step 2, combine like terms. And step 3, isolate the variable, meaning get the variable all alone. Okay, let's do some problems together. First problem. Okay, step 1, to solve this problem for x, we notice we have x here and here. Step 1 is to eliminate these parentheses with the distributive property. 2, the 2 is next to the parentheses, so you know the 2 is multiplied by everything in the parentheses. I have to multiply this term by 2, and I have to multiply this term by 2. So I get 2 times 3 is 6x minus 2 times the negative 2 there, that is minus 4. Okay, good job. And then I'm just going to keep everything. Everything else stays the same. Okay, step 1 is finished. I eliminated the parentheses by applying the distributive property. Step 2 is combine like terms. That means I want to get the x's together, and I want to get the non-x terms together. Okay, so how can I do that? Okay, I want this negative 5x to move over to this side so I can combine the x terms. So I'm going to add 5x, and I'm doing that on purpose to make this one go away. So I'll add 5x to both sides. I'm doing that on purpose to get rid of this 5x. When I add 5x to negative 5x, it cancels out to 0. Negative 5 plus 5, that equals 0. And this 6x plus 5x, that equals 11x. So let me write my equation again. I have 11x minus 4 plus 9 equals 0. I'm not finished combining my like terms. I still need to combine this negative 4 and 9, but that's easy, isn't it? 11x, looks like I got a bug joining us for math class. There we go. 11x, combine these terms. Negative 4 plus 9 is 5 equals 0. Okay, I have combined my like terms. Step 3 is to isolate the variable. I want to get x alone on one side of the equation. So I'm going to move this 5 over to the other side by adding 5. Sorry, not adding, subtracting 5 from each side. So if you do it to one side, you must do it to the other side to keep the equation balanced. I can do the same thing to each side of the equation as much as I want. So when I subtract 5 from each side, I get 11x equals negative 5. But the x is still not isolated. So I need to get rid of this 11. The 11 is the problem. Here's what I'll do. I'll divide by 11. Because 11 divided by 11 equals 1. Then I'll have just one x. That's what I want, just one x. If I divide this side by 11, I must divide this side by 11 as well. And when I do that math there, I get x, because 11 divided by 11 is 1, so I can just write x, equals negative 5 divided by 11. Now I have isolated x. I've got it all by itself, and I can just read the answer off the page. X equals negative 5 over 11. Let's try another problem. Okay, just ignore the one on top. Now the problem in blue. What is the first step to solving this problem? You don't remember? Pause the video and try it on your own. Okay, now that you've tried it, let me help you check your answer. First, apply the distributive property. So 3 times 1, 3 times p, and negative 5 times p, negative 5 times 1. After I apply the distributive property, I get negative 5p minus 5. Don't be confused with your negative signs. The negative 5 times p is negative 5p. Negative 5 times a positive 1 is negative 5. Okay, next step, combine like terms. So I have a 3p here and a negative 5p here. How about I add 5p to both sides, and I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. That way, I'm doing this on purpose, you know, it's not magic. I'm subtracting 3 so that these terms cancel out and equal 0. 3 minus 3 equals 0. And then I added 5p to both sides so that these terms would cancel out and equal 0. What I'm left with is 3p plus 5p equals 8p on the left side of the equation, and negative 8 on the right side of the equation. Because here, negative 5 minus 3, that's negative 8. 3p plus 5p is 8p. Okay, great. I did the second step. Now the last step is to isolate the variable. That means get it all by itself so you can just read what it equals. In order to isolate this variable, I need to get rid of this 8p. I want the 8 gone. I want just p by itself. So I can divide this term by 8. But if I do it to this side, I have to do it to this side. Okay, 8p divided by 8 equals p. 8p divided by 8 equals p. Because 8 divided by 8, I'll just show you that one more time. 8 divided by 8 equals 1. On this side, negative 8 divided by 8. I'll do the math over here. Negative 8 divided by 8, that equals negative 1. So I get p equals negative 1, and I have solved this problem. P equals negative 1. Check your work. Let me start a new problem with you. Let's do another one. You must be following along with your paper. Try the problems yourself. Pause the video and do it on your own. Okay, let me help you. Step 1 is to eliminate parentheses by applying the distributive property, but we don't have any parentheses. So let's go ahead to step 2, combining like terms. I need to get the b's together and the numbers together. So I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. I'm doing that on purpose so that this positive 1 minus 1 equals 0. Then my equation will be 2b equals 4b, and positive 9 minus 1 equals positive 8. I'm not finished combining like terms though because of these b's. So I'm going to subtract 4b from this side. I'm doing that on purpose to get this equal to 0. But I must subtract 4b on the other side as well. Now, 2b minus 4b equals negative 2b on the left side of the equation. And on the right side of the equation, 4b minus 4b, that equals 0. I did that on purpose because I wanted it to go away. And I'm just left with this positive 8. Step 3 is to isolate the variable. Okay, negative 2b, well, this negative 2 needs to go away. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. And I must divide the other side by negative 2 as well. Let me write what I have. I'll have negative 2 divided by negative 2b equals 8 divided by negative 2. And what happens when I have a number divided by the same number? It equals 1. So my answer is b equals 8 over negative 2. But I don't usually report my answers like that, with a negative 2 on the bottom and a fraction that's actually a number greater than 1. So let me simplify this. It's going to be negative 4, b equals negative 4. And you can do the math and prove that to yourself. Or you can call me and tell me I'm wrong. I make mistakes all the time. Let's do some more problems. We finished these 3. 3 more to go. I'll do 3 more problems with you. Okay, first, 5a minus 2 equals negative 9a plus 8. Pause the video and try it yourself. Why? You're not going to do it? Hurry up. Try it yourself. Okay, I'm just joking. I know you did it. Let's check your math. I don't have any parentheses, so I'm skipping step number 1. Step number 2, combine like terms. Okay, I have a's on this side and I have a's on this side. How about I add 9a to both sides? Then this term equals 0. And how about I add 2 to both sides? Then this term equals 0. And what I'm left with is 5a plus 9a, that's 14a, equals 8 plus 2, 10. Now step 3 is to isolate a, so I'm going to divide each side by 14. Another way to do that quickly is just write a line under there and go divide by 14. Divide by 14. Do you see how I just wrote a line? Previously, I used the division sign. But another way is just to put a denominator under it. And that's dividing by 14. Okay, when I do that, 14 divided by 14, that equals 1. So I'm left with A equals 10 over 14. But I don't like 10 over 14. I want to reduce my fraction to lowest terms. So how about A equals 5 over 7? There's my answer. Let's try the next one. Negative 1 plus 3f equals negative 7 minus 6f. Pause the video. Do it yourself first. Don't just wait for me. Okay, did you solve it yourself? Are you ready to check your answer? Okay, there's no parentheses, so we don't need to use the distributive property. We can go straight into combining like terms. So it doesn't matter if you want to subtract 3 or if you want to add 6. It doesn't matter which side you're deciding to go for, just whatever you think looks easiest. So I'm going to add 6f to this side so that this will cancel out and equal 0. I need to add 6f to the other side. As long as you do the same thing to both sides of the equation, you're fine. It stays balanced. When I add 6f to both sides, this 6f is going to cancel out. Negative 6f plus 6f is going to equal 0. I did that on purpose. I'm going to add 1 to both sides of the equation. When I add 1 to the left side of the equation, this negative 1 plus 1 is going to cancel out and equal 0. I did that on purpose. So I'm left with 6f plus 3f is 9f on the left side of the equation. And negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6 on the right side of the equation. Finally, let's isolate the f. I'm going to divide this side by 9. I'm doing that on purpose because I want 1f on the left side. I must divide the other side by 9 as well. And I'm left with f equals negative 6 over 9. But I don't like that fraction. It's not reduced into lowest terms. It will be better to say f equals negative 2 over 3. Okay, you guys are doing great. One more problem to go. Follow along with me. There are no parentheses, so I'll skip the distributive property and I'll go straight into combining like terms. I'll do this one fast. Plus 6k on this side, and I'll do the same thing on this side. Plus 6k. And then I'll add 2 to this side and add 2 to this side. Now when I do the math, negative 6k plus 6k equals 0. Positive 1 plus 2 equals 3 on the left side of the equation. Negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. And 7k plus 6k equals 13k on the right side of the equation. And then to isolate the k, I'm going to divide each side by 13. And I'm left with k equals, and I know it looks like I'm going backwards here, but it doesn't matter. K equals 3 over 13. Now let me write that again this way. K equals 3 over 13. Dun 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 dun. All right, guys, we did a good job. Now you are an expert at solving equations when there is one variable. Please remember the steps that you must do to complete your homework. Step 1, apply the distributive property to eliminate parentheses. Step 2, combine like terms. Put the terms with a variable together. And step 3, you must isolate the variable, and that means get the variable all alone so that you can just read the answer. Good luck with your homework. See you later.